All right, all right, all right. Welcome, everyone. Excited for this. Bitcoin is dropping like crazy, and I just had to jump on and share some details. So I'm going to give it a few minutes to let people hop on. Really excited to have everybody here because, like I said, it is not pretty. The market is definitely dropping. It is not pretty at all, but I want to make sure that I'm on here sharing with you guys and breaking everything down as Bitcoin continues to drop. Literally, as I'm looking at it, it's like 61K, which is actually really wild. But with that being said, I'm gonna give it a few minutes because I want people to jump on for sure. Super excited to have everyone tuning in, and obviously it's gonna be a good one. So gonna give that a few minutes. But I'm excited, guys, because there's so much to talk about. And obviously, there's a lot of people talking about crypto and talking about Bitcoin and the different aspects. And the fact is, a lot of people are taking advantage of the hype and talking nonsense. So I want to make sure that I come on here, break it down for you guys, and also want to make sure that you guys are good in terms of understanding what is happening, how to really get involved, and how to really get involved the right way. Because a lot of people are nervous, a lot of people are panicking right now. And as someone that has been in the space for so long, you want to make sure that you know exactly what you're doing and you are not just following the trends and following the hype. And so, yeah, I'm going to be able to share all of that with you guys, break that down. As you tune in, please make sure to also just drop in the chat where you are tuning in from. And of course, also make sure that you guys are sharing what's going on in your mind, how you're feeling about the market. Because, like I said, the goal is really just to share all the details with you guys. So, I'm going to make sure that everything is good on my end. Going to pull up a few things here. Give it a second. Okay, perfect. Everybody keeps messaging me, asking me what is going on, what is happening in the market. All right, cool. So I am set up, just making sure I'm live across the board. So YouTube, Insta, kind of all over right now. If you guys are excited or you guys are nervous, let me know in the chat. I want to really just jump on because the fact is everyone is so nervous right now. There's a lot of fear in the market. And especially as someone that's been in the market and been in crypto since 2016, was literally the first time I bought Bitcoin. I have seen a lot of the ups and a lot of the downs in the market. And that's why I want to make sure that I'm sharing my knowledge with you guys on how to get in properly and also to make sure that you are not missing out opportunities. Because the fact is, this is the time where it shakes a lot of people out of the market. And Bitcoin, and I always make a joke and say that Bitcoin has such a hilarious personality sometimes because all the time it is always trying to scare people out of the market, right? It is extremely volatile, but at the same time it really goes down to strategy and being able to protect yourself. So a lot of people right now lost a lot of money. A lot of people are seeing this as an opportunity to make a lot of money, and at the same time some people are not even involved at all, right? So the goal is to really make sure that you guys are in the game, you understand what's happening. And so I'm going to break down, and the big question is, how low can Bitcoin go, right? And so I'm going to break down and show you where Bitcoin's at right now, where it could potentially go. And then I also want to show you guys the history, a little bit about Bitcoin, because the fact is, even though it's so volatile, it's going up and going down all the time. The fact is, it's still very, very, very much repetitive, right? To an extent. Now, I will say right now, obviously, people are nervous, people are panicking when it comes to the market, but at the same time, there's still over $92 billion that are currently locked in DeFi alone, right? Billion, not million, right? $1 billion, 92, right? So there's a lot of money still in the market, and we have a lot of large institutions and companies that are still investing heavily, right? So it's really up to you guys to decide if you're gonna let this kind of freak you out or not, right? But with that being said, I want to kind of just jump on and go and show you guys the market right now. So I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit because I want to share my screen, share exactly what I'm looking at, and really just kind of break this down for you guys. Okay. Awesome. Perfect. So if you want to be able to see my full screen, for those that are tuning in on Insta, feel free to hop over to YouTube and get all those details and see everything there. But nonetheless, I'm gonna put a quick note, and I see a couple people jumping on, some familiar names. So welcome. So good to see you guys. Let me know if you guys are buying or selling right now. Just put buy or sell in the chat. Let me know which one you guys are doing. But I'm gonna break this down for you guys because I want to make sure you guys have everything that you need. And okay, so looking at the market, pulling that up right here. We're gonna zoom in a little bit. And for my traders, you probably already know what it is. But nonetheless, we can see right now, Bitcoin, this candle is long, guys. It is ugly. I'm not gonna lie. Now, like I said, as an investor for the past 8 years, typically if I see Bitcoin drop anywhere between like 10 to like 15%, 5 to 15%, I'm not worried, right? If we start to see it drop, like I would say below 15 or 20%, that's the part that gets me a bit excited, right? Because that's when we start to get towards a really nice, retracement. Now, if we get from anywhere from 30 to 50, that's when most people tend to get very nervous, right? Which technically, if you look at it now, and to kind of just look at last time we saw the high point for Bitcoin, it was roughly around 126,000. However, if you look now, it's dropped about 51%, almost 52%, right? So it's where we're currently at. And to be honest with you guys, yes, this is a big pullback, a big drop. Now, in terms of where we could see Bitcoin go, right? I've already kind of outlined. So I literally just took the Fibonacci retracement tool, went from like the low point, the last or previous low point, which we had back in August, and where we saw Bitcoin at 49,000. And then most recent high, obviously, which I said was the 126. And we can see that 786,886 zone, the last literally boundary or level of potential buyers is still in the zone right here. And so we can see we've already broken into that zone. I'm anticipating that I really don't think we're going to see Bitcoin go below 55K. It's still, of course, hard to say depending on the market and so forth. But that's kind of what I'm aiming at right now, right? Now, like I just showed you guys, right? Bitcoin was at 126K, now down to 60K. We saw that it went down about 52%. People are panicking, but here is why I am not panicking right now, right? And I'm going to break this down very clear for you guys because I want you guys to understand where you're at in the market. Okay, this is what separates people that are just casual investors compared to strategic and smart investors that are able to actually maximize their profits and actually know what they're doing, have a system to what they're doing, right? And that also makes a difference as to why some people, are those that invested at the very top when they probably shouldn't have invested compared to those that got in early, understand that people that are investing at times like this are the ones that are really maximizing, right? For those people that are always messaging me saying, hey, like I really want to get into crypto. I want to know the best time to get in. Not financial advice, and I probably should start with that already, right? This to me is a great opportunity because the fact is you are getting in, literally Bitcoin is 50% off right now. That's how I look at it. Okay. And now I'm going to show you why exactly I'm not nervous about this dip at all, right? This is still a very, very, very healthy dip because Bitcoin has moved so much and has had so much growth, right? Let's take a look at this here. So yeah, look, January 2023, we saw Bitcoin at what, 16,000, and it went from 16,000 to $126,000, right? A lot of growth. So it's time that we have a little bit of a retracement, healthy retracement where people are actually taking profits, right? But what I really want to show you, and I'm going to take this off for a sec here. I want you guys to take a look at what happened. I'm going to take this off too, actually. The last time we saw a big drop like this, okay, and this is back in 2021, 2022, a very exciting time, I must say, because like I said, I got in back in 2016, right? And let's actually take a quick peek of what Bitcoin was looking like back then. Yeah, it was pretty. It was very pretty. Just a couple $100, less than $1,000, right? Great time to get involved. But nonetheless, let's take a look at this, okay? So as we can see here, this kind of looks a little bit similar to what we're looking at. We have this big red candle, right? Now, if we once again take that low to the high point, we can see that Bitcoin, same thing, right? It went from a low of about $3,800, went all the way up to about 70K, right? Which is huge growth once again. And then it went from 70K all the way down to um, under $16,000, right? And that is very similar to exactly what people are going through right now, right? And I'll break it down even further, right? If I put this on here and let's actually take a look at this and actually measure the specific drop, that actually was 77%, okay, of a drop. 77%. Right now we're at 52% of a dip, right? Which is realistically compared to that, it's not as bad, right? And at the same time, what I want you to understand, this was December, right, of 2022, right? Bitcoin dropped 77%. And this is the same asset that went from that 16K all the way to $126,000. That's it. I can literally drop the mic. I'm done. Right? So literally it's like it's crypto and something like Bitcoin, it's repetitive, right? But it's healthy. And at the end of the day, you have the largest companies and asset managers and banks that are getting into an industry that is really shifting and changing the game, right? Like I said, there's billions of dollars, actually even trillions of dollars in the industry, right? It's just that a lot of that momentum is actually not coming from retail investors. It's actually coming from institutions, right? And that's actually what really has been driving the growth of Bitcoin, right? It hasn't necessarily been retail growth. Or retail investments compared to the last few years, right? This growth and this significant growth, and it's still continuing, but has really been driven by institutional investors, right? And organizations that are getting in, launching their own stable coin, or participating in, tokenizing digital assets and so forth, right? And so that's why we're seeing a lot of growth. But the fact is, guys, it's not going anywhere. Not financial advice, obviously, but I know for myself, I'm looking at this as a great opportunity. And for those that want to take a look at what it is specifically that I'm looking at in terms of picking up and adding to my portfolio, send me a DM with the word BTC, and I'll make sure to send you a list of my top 10 crypto and stock picks for 2026 that I'm personally involved in. And I'm happy to share that with you guys as well. So, like I said, the market does look ugly, but it's not going anywhere. And there's a lot of opportunities that are on the table, right? And if we think about the dip itself, a lot of people want to know, okay, well, why did the market dip? Why did Bitcoin drop as much as it did, right? And there's a few factors, right? Number one, this last run that we had with Bitcoin really should have ended, should have ended a while back, right? This bull run, everything doesn't just continue to go up, up, and up, right? It has to make its way back down, right? And so it definitely, if we look at the 4-year cycle for Bitcoin, which is still fairly relevant, we're starting to see that this is approximately around the time that we would expect Bitcoin to fall off, right? That's the first thing. Number two is there is still a lot of uncertainty and risk in the market, right? Just like every other asset, right? Regardless if it's, crypto or what other assets, of course, everything is still very much impacted by the economy, right? So whenever we have news on inflation or interest rates or anything on a global market scale, that's when we start to see things happen and movement with Bitcoin. And as Bitcoin goes up, everything else follows. As Bitcoin goes down, everything else also follows, right? So we have that. And then the other thing I would say that's also really relevant too is that when it comes to I would say fear specifically compared to like growth, we tend to see that fear tends to have a bigger impact, right? Literally crashes, I like to say crashes move faster, right, than rallies because sells are just so instant, right? And sells are just so fast. And that fear in the market just makes things even even faster, right? People react a lot faster to fear, right? And so as people have been taking their profits, including I heard, of course, Vitalik Buterin also has sold some ETH, right? As people are selling their assets and people see the market drop, there's tons of fear in the market, and people just continue to sell, right? And that is why we can see candles right on the chart that Bitcoin drops as fast as it does, right? And as fast as it is right now. So there's a lot of different factors that obviously play a role, but the most important thing is this industry and this asset still has some still fairly repetitive, right? It's still fairly repetitive. The main thing is figuring out what are you going to do about this? How are you going to position yourself in the market right now, right? How are you going to take advantage of it? And so for someone like myself that has been in the game, like I said, the last time you saw Bitcoin make this significant kind of dip, it went down 77%, which I literally just showed you, right? And it still went back up, made a new all-time high. So the question for you is, how are you going to navigate this? Right. Number one, are you investing? Are you going to be buying some more assets or at least increasing your position in some of these assets? Number two, how can you protect yourself when the market does drop? Right. That is the thing people never talk about, because at the end of the day, right, when Bitcoin, any asset can go up and go down, right? That is how investing works. So the question is, what strategies or systems or even automations do you have in place, right? Or even AI, right? You have AI agents that you can tap into that can help you to protect your assets, protect your investments, so that you don't have to worry if the market does drop significantly, right? And like I said, and as someone that has also obviously been very active when it comes to trading, Bitcoin specifically, you have to, for those that are trading and you want to put a stop loss, guys, you do not, you have to be a little bit generous, I would say, with your stop loss, because at the end of the day, Bitcoin, Ethereum, a lot of these assets still need room to grow, right? And so you need to make sure that you are, being cautious about that. But at least if you have those things in place, it will help you to protect yourself, right? So, hey, like you can set it up where not necessarily if Bitcoin drops like 5 or 15%, but you can set your account up to say, hey, you know what, if Bitcoin does drop, I don't know, 35% or even 40%, right? Probably more like on the 30% or 35, I would say. But you can say 35%. I want to make sure that a certain amount of my assets are crypto or Bitcoin, whatever. Certain amount of my assets are then turned or sold and turned back into Canadian dollars, US dollars, or another stable coin, right? And that way you are protecting yourself and your investment at the same time, right? Which is what a lot of people did. They saw Bitcoin drop down to, I don't know, 80K. Maybe they sold. And now that Bitcoin has dropped below or around 60K, this is where now they are actually using those profits to buy more Bitcoin, right? So all kind of works together. It's all about strategy, understanding what it is that you're doing. Because at the end of the day, if you do not pay attention, you're not going to be in the know, right? And the people that lose money in the market and are not making money in the market are literally those individuals that just haven't put the time in to learn how to do it, right? So the last thing I'm going to show you guys is one of my favorite platforms, CoinGecko, that literally has a list of all the different cryptocurrencies that are out there. And just to kind of show you what that looks like, everything literally is down, right? So Bitcoin's down to about 60K. We have Ethereum at 1700, which is looking pretty attractive. We even have XRP down to $1.14. And for those that are looking at this and wondering, well, why is it that number 3 and number 6, right, Tether and USDC and maybe USDS are still green? The answer to that question is because these are not volatile assets. These are stable coins. They're literally designed to stay roughly at $1, right? So those are not investable assets, I like to say. So just be mindful of that. But as you can see, the market is definitely moving. And one thing that really amazes me every single year, and I've been in crypto for what, 8, actually maybe even 9 years now, is that the list of the top even 30 coins looks so different every single year. Like every year, right? A lot of the cryptocurrencies that we saw in the past, right, or even the past few years are not even relevant today, right? And that is also why you need to be updating your portfolio, guys, as you guys go through this. You cannot just buy some cryptocurrencies, sit on it, and don't reassess them, right? It's still an investment, a financial investment that you need to keep track of, right? So just keep that in mind. But I know I shared a lot of gems. I know I shared a lot of information. I'll make sure that this video is available for you guys. If you have questions, send me a DM, message me. I got you. And at the end of the day, like I said, guys, with where Bitcoin is at now, like I said, I really don't, and maybe just share the screen one more time so you guys can see this before I hop off real quick. Okay, perfect. So like I said, and I'm gonna pull this up here just so we can see this nice and clearly, right? Right now with where Bitcoin is at. Oops, actually, you know what? I need to go a little bit closer. Okay. Perfect. So we're going to use this low and go to that high. Perfect. So now we're back. So right now we're in that key zone, that key area that I really believe we're going to be at for a little bit. You can already see there's a little bit of pressure. It'll be interesting to see what price point Bitcoin closes at to end off the week. But like I said, right now I have it set up where I don't anticipate we're going to go any lower than 50K. Some people believe that we will, but I personally don't think that we will. But if for whatever reason we ever did, like I don't even think we can even see it at 39. I think that's kind of wild. I really believe like this is kind of the spot to be looking at here. But like I said, guys, you do not need to own a full Bitcoin, right? At least right off the bat anyway. But even if, let's say, you are investing on a regular basis, continue to build up your position. And also going to give another shout out because if you haven't heard already, or maybe you just hopped on, if you want access to my top 10 crypto and stock picks for 2026, make sure to message me, send me a DM with the words or the word BTC, and I'll make sure to send that over to you so you can take a look and participate. But with that being said, guys, yes, the market is red. Bitcoin is down significantly, and we may not be at the end just yet, but regardless, this is completely normal. So, diamond hands, keep holding. Like my shirt says, stack crypto, stay woke, because we are not selling that here. But if you have questions, like I said, I got you, and I look forward to seeing all of you guys soon. So, thanks so much for hopping on. I always got you, and stay tuned for more information. And if you are looking for more resources, want to get more information, guys, make sure that you jump on my next live session. That's going to be February 19th with all the details. Of course, you can find on my website. Of course, the link in my bio will be there too. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and see you guys soon. Bye.